I wasn't even supposed to be there. That's the part that plays in my head the most. Originally, I was set to spend the weekend down in Tacoma with my folks. Something about helping my dad finally replace that stubborn leaky pipe in the garage and sitting through my mom's third retelling of how they met at a record store in the 80s. It was routine, comforting. I packed an overnight bag. Emily had reminded me, more than once, that her work event was nothing big. Just some internal awards thing her design agency hosted every year. She rolled her eyes when she said it, like she wanted me to know how pointless it was. "Trust me, babe," she said. "You'll be bored out of your mind. It's not like spouses even go." And for some reason, that didn't sit right. It wasn't even suspicious at first. More like a weird itch under the skin. I'd seen her stressed about work events before, but not like this. She wasn't anxious this time. She was excited. She got her hair done the day before, bought a new dress, and spent what felt like forever trying it on with different shoes in front of the mirror. I remember sitting on the bed watching her. Not in a creepy way, just quietly. She didn't know I was watching. She was smiling to herself. That kind of half-smile people wear when they imagine something pleasant. Not someone nervous about a boring work function. Then she said it again that night at dinner. "You really don't need to come, okay? I mean it." She laughed a little. "Honestly, it'll be so awkward if you're there. I won't know where to put you, where to put me." I remember thinking, I'm your husband, not a stray umbrella. Still, I said nothing. I just nodded, played it off, and went back to my plate. But the next morning, as I loaded the car, something made me stop. I remember literally putting my hand on the ignition, then just freezing. I couldn't explain why. It was just a gut feeling, and I've learned that sometimes your gut knows something long before your brain catches up. I texted my mom and told her something came up with work. She understood. "Next weekend," she said. Instead of driving south, I circled back around into the city. I didn't tell Emily, didn't call. Just figured I'd swing by Midtown Hall Theater and catch a glimpse of this boring internal party. Maybe I just wanted to surprise her. Maybe I wanted to confirm something I didn't want to admit. The theater was more crowded than I expected. Elegant lighting, big turnout, people dressed up like it was the Emmys. You'd never know it was a small internal gathering. I kept to the edges, sliding into the back of the venue near the tech crew. The room buzzed with energy. There was laughter, clinking glasses, and a small jazz trio playing off to the side. Waiters in black vests walked by offering trays of champagne and fancy-looking hors d'oeuvres. Everyone looked like they belonged. Except me. I scanned the crowd, but I couldn't see Emily at first. Eventually, I spotted her across the room. She was in conversation with a couple of people I didn't recognize. One of them, a tall guy in a gray tailored suit, leaned in when she laughed. She touched his forearm lightly as she talked. Not in a flirty way, but not in a professional way either. Just casually int asterisk mate. I didn't jump to conclusions. I told myself to stay calm. Maybe they were old coworkers. Maybe she was being friendly. I had to remind myself that I trusted her. That we'd been through rough patches before and made it out stronger. That I'd promised myself not to become that insecure guy who sees danger in every shadow. Still, I didn't move from my spot near the wall. Eventually, the music quieted, and a man stepped on stage with a mic. He introduced himself as the studio director, welcomed everyone, cracked a few jokes, and launched into the awards portion of the evening. It all felt light, breezy, normal, like something I'd seen a dozen times before at Emily's old agency functions. And now, the host said, smiling broadly, our final award of the evening, the Creative Vision Award, goes to someone who's brought relentless brilliance and unexpected heart to everything she touches. Let's hear it for Emily Barker. Applause erupted. I clapped to instinct, I guess, but it was half-hearted. My eyes were fixed on the stage. She appeared from the wings, radiant. Her dress was new. I hadn't seen it before. Emerald green with a slit up the leg and subtle gold jewelry that glinted under the lights. Her smile was dazzling. She looked at home, comfortable in the spotlight in a way I'd never seen. Like she was exactly where she wanted to be. She accepted the little crystal trophy, stepped up to the mic, and paused as the room quieted. "Wow," she said, laughing softly. "Thank you. This is unexpected." She paused again, her eyes scanning the crowd. Then she said it. "If it weren't for this job, I'd still be with the guy I foolishly picked at 22. And everyone laughed. The room exploded with it. Genuine laughter, like she just told a K*ler joke. Someone in the front row actually gave a whoop. The applause returned, louder this time. I didn't laugh. I didn't move. It took me a full second, maybe more, to process what she just said, to register the implication. I felt like I'd been kicked in the chest, hard, because there was no way that line didn't mean me. We met at 22. We got married at 24. I was the guy she'd picked. There wasn't anyone else. There hadn't been. Until now. I looked around to see if anyone was staring at me. No one was. No one knew who I was. I was a shadow. A nobody pressed up against the far wall of a theater, watching my wife take a victory lap on stage while casually erasing me with a single sentence. I didn't stay for the rest. I didn't wait to see her off stage. I didn't try to catch her eye. I turned and walked out the way I came in, barely feeling the door close behind me. The sounds of laughter and clapping trailed me into the night like ghosts. Outside it had started to rain. The cold hit me all at once. Not just the weather, but the whole weight of it. The moment, the realization. I stood there on the sidewalk, soaked and silent, trying to catch my breath. My hands trembled, and I felt this strange detachment, like I was watching a version of myself from a distance. The version that used to believe I knew my wife. The version that thought we were solid. And just like that, it felt like everything shifted. Not in a cinematic way, just quietly, like a door closing in the background of a room you hadn't realized was empty. Looking back now, I guess the signs were always there. Not all at once, but scattered like breadcrumbs. At the time, I kept brushing them off. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband, the overthinker. But in the weeks and months before that night at the theater, something had shifted. Not abruptly, not with fireworks. More like a slow, quiet drift I kept trying to explain away. It started with her ring. One morning in mid-July, I noticed she wasn't wearing it. We were sitting at the kitchen table, both half awake, working through our separate routines. I was reading news on my phone. She was sipping tea and scrolling through Pinterest. And I just happened to glance down, and the band that had been on her finger every day for almost 8 years was gone. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I asked, "No ring today?" She barely looked up. "Oh yeah, my skin's been weird lately. I think I'm allergic to the metal or something." I raised an eyebrow. "Since when?" She shrugged. "I don't know. I get these little rashes sometimes. It's probably nothing." I nodded, but I noticed she didn't offer to show me the rash. And I didn't ask to see it. It seemed like such a small thing in the moment. But I remember how easily she said it. Like she'd rehearsed the answer. Over the next couple of weeks, the ring stayed off. No follow-up about the rash. No dermatologist appointment. Just gone. When I mentioned it again in passing, she said, "It's actually been kind of freeing, honestly. Like I'm not tied to some outdated tradition." She laughed when she said it. Like it was progressive, like it was cute. It didn't feel cute. Then there was her Instagram. Emily was never a heavy poster. Mostly design stuff, *TS from our weekend hikes, the occasional photo of us at dinner. But one night, I noticed that most of our couple photos had vanished from her grid. Gone. No explanation. No archived versions. Just wiped clean. When I asked her about it, she tilted her head and said, "Oh, I'm curating my page differently now. I want it to reflect a more intentional aesthetic. Less personal, more brand-focused." She sounded like she was pitching it to a client. "You deleted our anniversary pic," I pointed out. "I didn't delete it. I saved it," she said, breezy. "You're being weird." Maybe I was. Still, I shrugged it off again. Because what's a few missing photos in a digital age where everything is temporary anyway, right? I even tried to laugh with her about it. But something about the way she said intentional aesthetic clung to me. It didn't sound like her. It sounded like someone she wanted to be. Then came the call. It was a Thursday evening. I was in the kitchen chopping veggies for stir-fry when her phone lit up on the counter. I glanced over, not to snoop, just to see if it was someone from work. But the name on the screen read, Studio Bliss. Never heard of it. She walked in a second later, saw the name, and without missing a beat, silenced the call. She picked up the phone, casually tossed it into her purse and said, "Ugh, that's the new wellness consultant they're forcing on everyone at the office. Corporate fluff." I raised an eyebrow. Studio Bliss? She rolled her eyes. "It's a rebranding thing. They're doing these, like holistic check-ins. Massages, aromatherapy. Total nonsense." "Huh," I said. "They call often?" "Sometimes," she said, heading upstairs. "Anyway, dinner smells amazing." She didn't mention it again. And when I Googled Studio Bliss later, all I found was a private spa in Bellevue. Not exactly a company wellness initiative. Not unless her office had started offering champagne facials in luxury suites. I told myself I was overthinking again. But then, a few nights later, I found the keycard. She was in the shower. I was looking for gum in her purse because I'd left mine in the car, and I spotted something tucked into the inside zipper pocket. A sleek, Navy Hotel keycard, embossed in gold with a stylized number on the back. Suite 507. That stopped me cold. When she got out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, I held it up. "What's this?" She barely blinked. "Oh, from that conference I had last month. The one in Olympia." I frowned. "The one you said was on Zoom?" She froze for half a second, then smiled. "No, that was the follow-up meeting. The actual conference was in person. I told you about it, remember?" I didn't, and I never saw a single bag packed for a trip. But instead of pressing, I let it go. She walked past me, kissed my cheek with damp lips, and went to the bedroom like it was nothing. But that moment stuck. That number, 507, burned into my brain like it meant something more. And deep down, I knew it did. The final straw, the thing I kept pretending wasn't real, was the lingerie. Emily had always been pretty open about what she liked, and more importantly, what she didn't. When we first got together, I remember her making fun of overly elaborate sets. "What am I? A burlesque dancer?" she'd said once, laughing as she tossed aside a strappy red thing from a bachelorette gift bag. So when I noticed the first new set in the laundry, black lace, barely there, I raised an eyebrow. "What's this?" She shrugged. "Felt like treating myself." "Since when?" "I don't know, Mark," she said. "Do I need to submit a purchase order?" She smiled when she said it, but it felt sharp. Then more sets started appearing. White lace, pale blue satin, a set with garters I'd never seen her wear before. None of them for me. One night, she walked past me into the bedroom wearing something sheer and low-cut. Not provocatively. She was getting ready for bed, but I couldn't help noticing. She didn't say a word, just slipped under the covers, turned away from me, and went to sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, heart pounding. The truth was trying to get through, clawing at my chest like it didn't want to stay buried anymore. But I still didn't say anything. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe I was just reading into things because we were in a weird phase. I told myself that maybe we'd just grown apart a little, that it would pass. It always had before. But something about the silence between us felt different this time, heavier. Like she was already halfway gone, and I was the only one still pretending we shared the same world. Hope's a strange thing. Can survive things it shouldn't. It'll cling to scraps, dig its nails into fantasy, and whisper, maybe there's still a chance, even while the ground underneath you is disappearing. That's where I was clinging, ignoring what was becoming obvious. I wasn't ready to be the guy who admits it. The guy who says out loud, "I think my wife is cheating on me," even though everything pointed there. And then, she kissed him. It was a random Tuesday night. I was out with a couple of guys from work, just a quick hang at a sports bar downtown. The place had these massive TVs everywhere, all synced up to show the season finale of some competition show we'd been watching. Loud crowd, cheap wings, beers flowing. I'd almost forgotten how much I needed the noise, the distraction. Then the commercials hit. And everything changed. The bar's sound dropped for a segment. One of those local human interest bits the station throws in to look warm and fuzzy. This one was about a creative agency doing some award-winning eco-campaign. They showed clips from the launch party, panning across the crowd. People clapping, drinking, laughing. And there, clear as day, was Emily, my wife, wearing the same white blouse she'd worn 2 Fridays ago. The night she said she had an urgent client call. She was holding a wine glass, laughing. Her hand was resting in someone else's. A tall guy with a sharp haircut and the kind of casual confidence I'd never quite had. Then he leaned in, and she let him kiss her. Not a peck, not a friend kiss, a real kiss. Her hand slid up his arm. Her eyes fluttered shut. It lasted maybe 4 seconds on screen. But that's all it took. I didn't say anything to the guys. I stood up, walked out of the bar, and into the parking lot like I was heading to take a call. I just needed to breathe. Or scream. Instead, I sat in my car, pulled out the tablet we shared, the one she always used when working from the couch, and logged into her email. She hadn't signed out, and there it was. Evidence she didn't even try to hide. Receipts, booking confirmations, dinner reservations, a spa getaway in the countryside, booked under both their names and paid with our joint account. Not hers, ours. The subject line, confirmation 2 guests, suite with fireplace. And in the notes, can't wait K. K. He had a name, just an initial, but it hit me like a gut punch. I stared at that screen until my vision blurred. I didn't even know what emotion I was feeling at that point. Anger? Betrayal? Humiliation? All of it. None of it. The craziest thing was, even then, part of me wanted to believe there was an explanation. Some way to twist it around and make it innocent. But what kind of client meeting ends with a wine-soaked kiss and a suite booking? Who the hell was I kidding? And then I remembered something. A month earlier, she'd told me she was too busy for our anniversary trip, that she couldn't step away from the agency during a campaign push. I'd agreed stupidly and canceled the cabin rental I'd booked. The same exact cabin, it turned out that she had just rebooked. Same lodge. Same location, only now it was for her and Kay. It was like I was erasing myself from our memories 1 click at a time, and she didn't even try to hide the brushstrokes. I wanted to smash the tablet right there in the parking lot, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't think. All I could do was sit there, watching that tiny screen glow with the weight of 1,000 unspoken things. I don't know how long I sat in that car. At some point, I must have driven home, because I remember walking in and seeing her curled up on the couch, wrapped in a throw blanket, half asleep. She opened her eyes when I walked in. "Hey," she said, rubbing them. "You're back early." I stared at her for a moment, trying to see the version of her I used to know. The one who used to text me when she was late. Who used to rest her head on my chest and whisper dreams she hadn't told anyone else. But that version was gone. Maybe she'd been gone longer than I realized. "Yeah," I said, dropping my keys on the counter. Game was boring. She smiled, yawned, and asked, "Want to watch something?" I told her I was tired, said I'd had a long day, and then I walked upstairs and shut the bedroom door behind me. It was the first time I ever locked her out. I woke up before sunrise the next morning. Didn't sleep much, just laid there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the low hum of the fridge downstairs and the occasional creak of the house. That old familiar quiet that used to feel like comfort, now just reminded me I was alone in a room with a woman I couldn't trust anymore. By 6 a.m., I was up. I changed the smart lock code, shut every window, locked every door. Then I took a deep breath, went into the bedroom, and started packing her things. Emily woke up while I was folding her clothes into boxes. She sat up slowly, blinking. What are you doing?" I didn't look at her. "Your stuff's on the back porch. Everything else can be picked up later." There was a pause. A stunned, sleepy silence. "What are you talking about?" "You already left, Emily," I said. "You just didn't have the guts to say it out loud." She threw off the blanket and stood. "Mark, wait. What's going on? Why are you?" I finally looked at her. Suite 507. That rang a bell. Her face changed instantly. Not with guilt, not with panic, but with calculation. Like her brain flipped a switch into damage control mode. That was a work trip, she said automatically. Too fast. No, I said. It was a lie. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, holding a half-packed box of her sweaters, staring at this woman I used to know. My voice was dead calm when I said it. You've already lost your mistake. Now pack your things. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, to perform, but the words didn't come out fast enough. She blinked once, twice, then stepped back. You're blowing this out of proportion, she whispered. I gave a short, bitter laugh. Right? A kiss on live TV. A hotel suite on my dime. Deleted photos. Secret calls. That's all just imagination. I was under pressure, she said, quieter this time. It wasn't serious. Then why hide it? She didn't answer. Just turned away, pacing like the floor could explain something her mouth couldn't. Later that evening, after she was gone, or at least physically out of the house, I got the first text. Emily, you imagined all of this. It was just fun for the camera. You're overreacting. I stared at my phone, then turned it over on the table. Didn't respond. But the real bomb didn't come from her. Came from Tom. Tom was one of our mutual friends. Well, my friend, really. He used to work with Emily at her old firm, and we'd had beers a few times. Never super close, but close enough to swap Spotify playlists and have that unspoken guy code. If something smells off, you say something. That afternoon, he texted me, Hey, can we talk? He showed up around 5, standing awkwardly on my porch, hands buried in his hoodie, looking like he wasn't sure if I'd punch him or invite him in. We sat on the back steps. He didn't dance around it. I knew something was going on, he said. I should have told you sooner. I just stared at him. There was this one night, he went on, last summer, after one of their agency's happy hours. I was walking out, and I heard Emily talking to someone by the valet line. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but, he paused, looked at the ground. She said something like, He's holding me back. I want to start over. My throat tightened. She meant me. He nodded. Yeah, I think so. That line, it echoed. Like a stone dropped down a deep well. He's holding me back. I thought about all the times she'd said I was too safe. All the times she wanted to push boundaries, while I was just trying to make sure the bills got paid and the roof didn't leak. I thought about how she once described me as stable to a coworker, said it like it was a limitation. Tom stood to leave. I'm sorry, man. I just thought you should know. After he left, I walked back into the house, our house, and I looked around at everything that suddenly felt like props on a stage. The gallery wall of vacation photos. The couch she insisted on getting because it was statement furniture. The coffee table books she never actually read. All of it was curated, presented, like I'd been living inside someone else's Instagram feed. For the next few days, she kept texting. Some were cold. This is insane. You're acting like a stranger. Some were desperate. Can we just talk like adults? You owe me that. And then came the manipulation. You were never really happy either. Be honest. Each one chipped away at the version of her I'd tried so hard to hold on to. And each time I ignored it. I didn't engage. I didn't let her pull me into the narrative where I was the irrational one, the broken one, the one who couldn't handle her growth. She wanted control, and I wasn't playing that game anymore. One night, she drove by the house, just sat in the car outside. I saw her through the curtain. She didn't get out, just sat there, headlights off, staring up at the window like she was hoping to time travel back into the version of her life where I still believed her. But I didn't open the door. I went back to the kitchen, poured a drink, and started researching lawyers. There's a strange kind of theater in family court. People dress up like it's Sunday school, but everyone's there for war. The polite smiles, the clean folders, the yes, your honor formality. It's all a performance. And on that stage, Emily was the star. She showed up looking like a page out of a lifestyle blog, soft beige coat, muted lipstick, hair in a tidy bun that made her look fragile but dignified. She sat there with her legs crossed at the ankle like she was attending a poetry reading, not trying to cut our life in half. When the judge asked us to present our claims, she spoke in this calm, rehearsed voice. The kind of tone you'd use to ask for help in a boutique, not to explain why she deserved half of everything after detonating our marriage. I felt stifled, she said, like I couldn't grow. Mark never encouraged me to explore who I really am. And I didn't feel safe bringing that up. Safe. As if I was some kind of threat. As if the man who worked overtime to help her launch her portfolio site, who bought her that dumb tablet she used to email hotel reservations to her affair partner, had somehow created a hostile environment. Her lawyer added fuel, painting a picture of a one-sided relationship where I was the anchor dragging her down. They used words like support imbalance and emotional constriction. Words that sound clinical but land like poison. My lawyer, thank God for her, didn't flinch. She pulled out Exhibit B, a PDF of Emily's private messages to a friend. We'd pulled them from a synced cloud account she forgot to unsync. My lawyer read them out loud in the courtroom, voice steady and cold. He does everything for me, but I can't anymore. I need someone who doesn't know the real me. Silence. The judge blinked. Emily didn't even flinch. She didn't cry, didn't look embarrassed. She just stared forward, like it was someone else's life being read aloud. Like she was watching a movie about a person who used to be her. I watched her, waiting, hoping for a crack in the mask. Some glimmer of guilt. But there was nothing. Not even a twitch. It wasn't anger I felt. It was hollowness. Like someone had replaced the woman I married with a mannequin that mimicked her expressions but didn't contain a soul. My lawyer went on. The defendant claims emotional suppression. But our evidence shows her intent to exit this marriage long before the alleged discomfort. What we see here is not a cry for independence. It's a calculated pivot. That's what it was. Pivot. A rebranding. Just like her social media, just like her curated aesthetic. I'd become a phase she outgrew, and she wanted to update her life like it was a LinkedIn profile. When it came time to divide the assets, she wanted the house. Not part of it. All of it. Her argument? It's the only place I feel grounded. I almost laughed in court. She wanted to keep the house she cheated in, lied in, gaslit me in, and called it a place of grounding? No, absolutely not. I fought it. Not out of spite. Out of principle. Because I'd rebuilt that house from the studs up. Installed the backsplash in the kitchen with my own hands while she browsed throw pillows on her phone. Because I'd loved that place. And because she had already gutted enough out of me, she wasn't getting the walls too. The judge ruled in my favor on the house. She got some furniture, her car, and a portion of our savings. More than she deserved, if I'm being honest. But I didn't care anymore. I just wanted the door to close behind her. For good. As we stood to leave, I watched her gather her things, still moving like she was in a yoga class. No emotion, just elegance. She leaned over to her lawyer and whispered something I couldn't hear. And then, before she turned to go, she glanced at me. That was the only time her expression cracked. Her eyes met mine for half a second, and I saw something behind them. Not sadness. Not love. Fear. She knew. She knew it was over. Not the marriage that had ended long ago. But the game. The performance. The version of her life where she could be both the victim and the architect of her escape. That world had collapsed. And now she was just a woman walking out of a courthouse with less than she'd bargained for. And me? I was free. After the hearing, she waited by the courthouse steps. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice low. I hesitated, then followed her to a quiet hallway. She leaned against the window and said, "I didn't mean to destroy everything. I was just afraid of ending up with nothing." I didn't flinch. "You already did," I said. "You just haven't realized it yet." She talked about feeling tired, unseen, like she was losing herself. But there was no sorrow, only fear. Fear of being alone, of the mask slipping. That's when it clicked. It was never about love. Never about us. It was always about control. About keeping me in orbit while she reinvented herself as someone new. and I wasn't going to be part of that script anymore. 3 weeks passed. I came home late one evening and saw her, standing at the edge of the driveway, pale, empty-eyed. "I couldn't handle it," she said. "He left." Everything spiraled. I stared at her. "You left," I said, "and I'm not the man who catches you anymore." I walked past her, into a house that no longer felt like a crime scene. That night I burned the old photos, replaced everything, dishes, curtains, handles, all except one thing, the card she left on the kitchen shelf when she moved out. It read, "One day, you'll understand why I did this." I framed it, not to remember her, but to remember who I became when I finally let go.